You're watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome. How you doing, Oliver?
I am well. I got kind of distracted because it said for some reason you're not live on your LinkedIn. So
Okay. All right. I
um,
will
trying to
because
fix that.
we did this before. Now I'm live.
Okay, you are live on your LinkedIn. Okay.
Yep. Everything is good on all of them.
All right, so we're good, man. Yeah, I'm good, man. Glad to be here. Looking forward to another conversation. These conversations are great conversations, man. I think they're necessary conversations, and so glad to be a part of that. Outside of me, kind of, as you can see, just coughed. Outside of me recovering from something that snuck up on me. Other than that, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm now I'm hitting buttons thinking that it didn't go. So I don't know. I think I am live on LinkedIn, but
Let me check.
let's see.
That's all right.
Um,
That's the beauty of technical stuff, right? It's just
you know,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
well, I
So
tell you.
let's see. Um, yeah, it says happening now, but it doesn't say that it's live. So let's see if there's a way.
No, it says looking like his streams was deleted on your LinkedIn. Try to remove. Okay, remove and redo it.
Oh, you're gonna just add to it. That'll work. All right. I think you're good now.
Yeah. Well, guess what, everybody? I guess that we started with the housekeeping before we said anything.
Listen, sometimes we gotta include you in this behind the scenes process. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. We included you in the behind the scenes process, so you got
This is a process, and this is about what we were talking about. Hopefully, now you will be able to see us on Clear Journey's YouTube channel, along with Juan Lee's my personal YouTube channel, along with my LinkedIn page. So, welcome everybody. We're glad to see you. Glad that you're with us. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Clear Journey YouTube channel. We really would appreciate that. Who we are, my name is Juan Lee, and I'm the founder of Clear Journey, which is a nonprofit that supports individuals and families that are having challenges in their lives, looking for answers to these challenges. And we provide education and resources so that we can help you navigate life and live the best life you can. And also we have Oliver Marcel. You want to tell them about yourself, Oliver?
Indeed. Author, speaker, coach in the relationship building space and the men's enrichment space. Just looking to help individuals, shameless plug, live out personal marital relationships that mirror the equation on my shirt, 1+1 = 1. And many of you all always see me on these lives with the 2020 Before Hindsight t-shirt, which is the overall goal to help give someone the opportunity to gain some level of clarity on the front end before they run into something that could throw off the trajectory of their lives. So that's me, man, and it's life, and so that's very fitting,
yeah,
to what I do and what I'm about.
Yep, and to just to piggyback on that while we're starting up here is that Clear Journey is about a balanced life, and what a balanced life is all about is being able to balance all of the different variables of life and still not sacrifice any of them while navigating life. We talked about it last week, and it was about not as much as being equal, but it was more so about being able to be centered while still having to manage the various different stages or different challenges of life. And we basically looked into it, and we gave it a definition of it being about a balanced life is being equipped with the ability to navigate any challenge successfully. And what we do at Clear Journey is we provide you with those tools, and those tools are the 8 areas of life that you can go to clearjourney.org and take a look at. And there's some steps in there that can help you navigate through those stages with the right attitudes, so that you can be successful in life. So tonight we're going to just continue to address what a balanced life is, the benefits of it. And in this case, as it was last week, we're going to be talking about, what is it how does a balanced life prevent certain things? Last week, we talked about burnout, and Oliver basically had a great example of what that was. And that was he and his wife had just come back from some time off. And it was really important to be able to understand that if you don't get time off and get some relaxation, some R&R, you end up burnt out. And that's in any part of life, in any area and aspect of life. And then we talked about chronic stress. And what balanced life does is it allows you to see clearly what's causing you this chronic stress. There's always different types of things that could be affecting you, and you really don't even know it because you're just into it so much.
Right.
It can prevent a balanced life, can prevent it because it allows you to step back and really begin to look at things as it relates to how can you eliminate some of the stresses that we're being confronted with day to day. And one of the areas of the 8 areas of life that we talk about is, as it relates to balance, as it relates to business and your career, is being able to be efficient in your job. And that means that you have to be able to, so that you won't allow other situations to cause you to have to steal from Peter to pay Paul. I know we talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
That really refers to having to take time away from somewhere else. Because again, we know that time is, you only get 24 hours a day. And if you have to spend more time at work, home is going to suffer, or other areas are going to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like same thing at home. If you got to spend an enormous amount of time at home, work is going to suffer.
Right.
You can't, so there's got to be able to understand that you got to be able to do it all, but it's about being centered so that you can be able to do it all, not as it relates to equally, but being centered as you go through it. And today, go ahead. You got something?
I was just gonna say, man, that was a very key aspect that came out of that conversation as well. Just in terms of really not looking at it as attempting to chop up the pie in equal parts, as much as it is giving intentional priority to the pieces of the pie when necessary, and being prepared to do so with the capacity that's necessary for those moments, right? And being able to understand what fits where,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that was really key part of that, man. And I think that leads very nicely into where I think we're going to go today. So
yeah, and I think one of the other things is I think was really critical is what you added also last week is understanding the need to take away things,
right,
rather than trying to always having to build. Sometimes it's necessary to subtract some things,
yeah,
so that you can stay centered, so
Indeed.
that you can stay balanced, as we call it. And a balanced life is knowing how and when to do that.
Exactly.
It's the tools that you say, hey, now's not the time to build. maybe now it's time to unbuild. One of the things that we will talk about as we get further along in this is when we talk about self-improvement and getting to know ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to know ourselves requires first finding out who we are and being able to deprogram when we realize that those things that we've built up on the inside, who we've become, has been a negative.
Yep.
And we've got to deprogram, and we've got to be honest with ourselves. And when you talk about taking things away and removing things from from our plate, so to speak, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, in spite of the fact that I want this, it may be good, I might want it, it might not just be the right time for me.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Rob House in the house. Sometimes subtracting is adding.
Absolutely.
Very true.
It's beneficial.
Yeah.
It's beneficial. So tonight, we're just going to go another couple things that we've recognized that a balanced life can do. And it's so interesting because I think as it relates to this, it's depression. It's amazing how easily depression will creep up on us.
Yeah.
It will creep up on us in a way where we won't even recognize that we're depressed or full of anxiety. And it comes from really not having a balanced life.
Mm-hmm.
It really becomes for you. You're really trying to figure it out. Anxiety is basically just not understanding what you're up against and feeling afraid of a situation. And in many cases, because we're just unprepared. We're just unprepared. And with balanced life, it gets us to a point and we understand that we can recognize when something is out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because as soon as it gets out of balance, you begin to get depressed.
That's and it's interesting because I would say I'm just thinking out loud now that when you think about anxiety and depression, there is an imbalance in the chemicals, right? And I love that you are now, as it relates to what a balanced life can prevent, is actually looking at the alignment between your life being balanced and the chemicals in your body being balanced, right? So there's some very significant things that you have to look at in the way of intention to ensure that your life is balanced, right? So now we're even looking at beyond just work and home, but now we're looking at your mental health and your physical health, and having some level of intention there. That fuels into work, that fuels into home, creating this level of balance around your priorities, around the things you choose to take on, the things you choose to remove, that now all fuel into whether you're able to navigate or maybe even mitigate this depression or not. So I love that, that I'm just thinking out loud, man. I think this conversation for me is actually just kind of an eye opener too, because now I'm kind of thinking around my own experience. What am I doing in the way of intention around balancing these various aspects of my life, so that what happens in my body as a response to that will also be balanced.
I mean, this is going to play in very well with what we're going to be talking about at the end of this particular session. And that has to do that Harmony at Home webinar that we're going to be having on in November, and we won't jump the gun there, but that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. But it's true how stress, depression impacts our physical body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well aware of this. And so you are exactly right to be able to recognize this and to pull back. And that's why what the gentleman was talking about, he says less is more.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling back and understanding that pulling back can save your life, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, because we don't understand the wear and tear on our body's emotion. Our emotions affect how our body operates.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, it's amazing on my health journey, and I'll share again with you. I've been on a health journey for over 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I have gone from every physical thing. And often, and you're thinking that that's what it is. I am becoming more and more aware of the impact emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
how it's affecting my body, because everybody else is saying ain't nothing wrong. And so I'm going like, okay, what part haven't I touched?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now let's go emotional. Let's be honest. Let's be emotional. Let's go to where mentally, how am I prepared for what I'm engaged in?
Yeah.
And being very comfortable in the fact that if that's what it takes for me to be able to get clarity, then that's what I need to do to get that clarity. I need to be able to get to where the root of the cause is. And we want to always, most of the time, think that it's physical, and it could be emotional.
Good point.
It could be emotional.
It could be. There are various, because if we're talking about if we're now morphing into this holistic balance, often when we talk balance, we automatically go to the work-life piece in the way of harmony. But if we're talking holistic balance, right, then very well could be and is the case that various aspects of your being need to be well and in alignment, right? So if we're talking about well-being, we're talking about spiritual alignment, we're talking about physical alignment, emotional alignment, psychological alignment, right? Relational alignment. It's those things. When any of those pieces, like a car engine, if any of those pieces of your car engine is out of sync, it could be the smallest part causing the biggest headache, right? So understanding that all of those pieces are valuable, and then showing intention in all of those, because we talked about this last week. There are individuals who focus on a particular area at the expense of all the others.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot do that consistently and expect to be in any level of alignment as it relates to your mental health.
And that's the part we can't sacrifice one for the other.
Right.
And that's what this is all about. Being balanced is understanding all of this is important. Mm-hmm. There aren't any little parts, to be honest with you. All of the parts are just as significant as any of the other ones. It's just that when we look at it, like for instance, it's so easy to see the body. Mm-hmm. You can't see your mind.
Right.
Because we're basically being manipulated or being programmed by the mind to dictate or determine what it is how we feel, what it is we see, all of these things. And we don't even think about what the mind, how healthy that is, how healthy the mind is to be able to give us the information that it's given us.
Yeah.
We think about people. I mean, to be honest with you, the last couple of years, there've been some people that have committed suicide, that have been popular, people that have committed suicide. And yet everybody is caught off guard. because they appeared to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But their mind was telling them something that caused them to do what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that we, as people, we need to be aware of them. And I think we as collectively, we need to be caring about each other enough to say, hey, it's nothing wrong with mental health.
Right.
I mean, about getting the help that you need in that area. If it means that we're able to continue to thrive in life.
Yeah, I agree. If for those who may be joining or just joining, or you watching the replay and just kind of, or wherever, if you just jumped in at this moment, we're continuing the conversation that we had last week. Make sure you go check that conversation out as well, around balance and what that looks like in a balanced life, and then kind of moving that conversation now into some of the things that it can prevent.
Yeah.
And the first thing we talked about was depression. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important, man, because for anybody who may be now here, let me give this disclaimer as well. We try to cover all bases as much as we can. Excuse me. If what we're not saying is that if you are in deep in depression right now, that the cure all is a balanced life. I think that contributes to it. Now you go ahead and get what you need to get, your
Mm-hmm.
your therapy or medication or whatever those things may be. But understand that maybe part of the road back to uh, holistic mental health may include you now looking at the various areas of your life that may also be imbalanced, and correcting that imbalance so that it can then fuel the chemical balance that you are trying to achieve as well. So just want to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is if they go to clearjourney.org and go to mental health or go to health, and then they will actually go through and see some things. And at no point will it talk about, if you need help. See, the thing about this is that many times we don't recognize we need help.
Mm-hmm.
We can't see the signs that we need help. This is what Clear Journey is about, talking about giving you the tools so that you can now get the resources that you need to be able to get the help that you need, because ultimately we're here to help. That's what we're here to do. So in many cases, we don't even know it, and like I was telling you on my journey, I've been 3 years trying to figure out something physical, and it might be something mental,
Mm-hmm.
And I've been chasing around looking after the mental, as a physical problem, and come to find out, I don't know yet, because no light bulbs coming on, but the fact is that I can't eliminate anything if I'm not going to at least be exposed to it. I gotta be exposed. I gotta say, okay, what do I need to do? Hey, this is not working. This is not working. I can't just say, okay, throw up my hands and just quit. No, there's something's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I have to keep on searching. And what I have is resources. I need to gain more resources, get more resources so that I can exhaust all of the possibilities to resolve whatever the issue it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're about, giving tools so that you can have the resources that you need to be able to be successful.
Yeah. Excellent.
And how that then rolls over into the next one is then relationship strain.
Okay.
Relationship strain is basically not being able to spend the time that you want with the ones that you love. And that's really basically the simple thing. And that's just not having the balanced life. And it goes back to that again. How do you eliminate, not being able to spend the time that you want with the ones that you love?
Mm-hmm.
And that if we don't have a balanced life, that will strain our relationships.
It will. And it's a tough one, because the schools of thought are contradictory to how you even approach this, right? You have a school of thought that says, hey, there are some sacrifices that you'll have to make on the front end in order to enjoy relational harmony, if you will, on the back end, right?
Mhm.
In many cases, however, relationships don't make it to that back end because they are affected in a detrimental way by that sacrifice. But then you have others who will argue, well, then how will I get ahead? Or how will I advance? Or how will I move the needle? It's a big conversation, in the entrepreneurship space, right?
Mhm.
And being able to maintain your relationship while you are grinding, while you are building, while you are putting in the 24 hours a day or whatever it is that you're putting in. And so that's a difficult one, and the hard pill to swallow. And some people may want to fight me on this, but I'm learning this. So I'll speak for myself, but I do believe it applies globally. Is that there are, again, going back to what we said last week, to achieve this thing called balance or harmony, sometimes if you look at a scale, in order to balance out a scale, you don't actually put something on it, you take something off of it. I dare say that maybe, and I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine today about this very thing, is that maybe life is actually good right now. And I should approach it from that vantage point as opposed to feeling like I need to sacrifice the moments, the current moments, for a future payout. Let me put it even more simply. A lot of the bag chasing that might be happening right now, maybe you pull back from that, take some of the energy that you're putting into that and put it into the relationships that matter. That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, because now you're taking, okay, you taking money out of my pocket, or you causing me to leave money on the table. But then it speaks to your priority. Where does your priority lie? If the relationship is not a priority, you should probably not be in it. And I'm going to leave that because that's going to take us down a road we didn't plan on going down today. But I
Well,
just wanted to say that. I mean, I think that bears saying, because it's something to think about, because there are a lot of folk who are sacrificing their relationships or causing undue strain in those relationships because they are not looking at how they can effectively balance those various aspects of their life, not at the expense of their relationships.
yeah, it's very difficult to accept what you just said.
Indeed. For me as well. I said
No,
it and it's still difficult to accept.
yeah, but I'm getting ready. In the middle of the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the game. Um, one of the things that we want people to understand is that the middle of the game is a different stage than at the beginning of the game. When you become knowledgeable in the middle of the game, it's typically a little bit more difficult to make the navigation, to make the change in the middle of the game than it would be at the beginning of the game. In other words, what we realize is that life don't change. The game ain't changed. It's like we get in the middle of the game and then we want to change the game. That ain't how the game play. The game was originally the same game. The rules are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that there's an order to the game. And many of us don't realize that we in the game or the order of the game until the game we halfway in the game. And then we realize that, hell, I got to sacrifice the bag for the relationship because I sort of kind of put the buggy before the horse.
Okay.
Instead of putting the horse before the buggy.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us mean, you know, when we make changes as relates to relationships, we make changes. You don't make a change as an individual. As an individual, you have to make the change as a unit. So if I'm making a change, if, you know, all of a sudden I want to make a career change and I'm married, I'm like, and now I sort of got to start all over again. Mm-hmm. Both of you got to make that change.
That's very true.
Both of you got to make that change.
I'm a living witness of that.
Yeah. And so if both of you don't make that change, it's going to be apparent, or it's going to appear that one's sacrificing the other one for that change. Mm-hmm. And you've got to understand that you just can't arbitrarily wake up and go like, I'm going to make this change, but it's for the bag and the bag is for us. But no, not at the expense of us.
And there's a process, right? So for those who will fight us on this, because
that's the order.
There are some who will fight us on this, right? If you go about this right, you can essentially have the best of both worlds. However, you can't put the cart before the horse to do that. You have to. So let me give you an example of what that looks like, right? Very real world example. At 49 and 10 months, choose to leave my corporate job and go into full-time entrepreneurship at 49 and 10 months, not at 24 or at 21 or at even 30, 49. So let's call it 50, right? So that is, I could not, what that entails for me in terms of building a business can very easily be detrimental to my relational health. Because now I have gone from what I eat being presented to me having to go out, find, and kill what I eat. So now when it was presented to me, I had way extra time because I didn't have to go out. I didn't have to find it. I didn't have to kill it. So those three elements didn't exist. It was presented to me for whatever minimal amount of or maximum amount of work that I was doing in the same place. So now you're talking about a significant more time investment. You're talking about actually a financial strain. Let's just keep it a buck. You're talking about all of these other elements now that I have to now begin to figure out how to balance or harmonize so that it does not cause relationship strain. The only way I could do that was to involve my partner in that. We had to have some conversations. We had to craft some strategy. We had to have some contingency plans. We had to talk about these things and be not just talk about them, but be in agreement on them. Both sign off on them before I decide I'm gonna go out, look for, and kill what I eat. So there's a process to it, right? We're not just saying, hey, leave money on the table so that you can spend time with your wife. Now, the hard truth sounds like that, but to make it work for you from a balance perspective, there's a process that you would go through to do that. And part of that process is in involving that person.
Yeah. And see how that would have looked if it was pre-marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different. Because see, now it's talk about optimizing your potential. Mm-hmm. and then putting things that's building up that horse to pull that wagon, which is that family.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's a different scenario. But the fact is that now that you've got that strong horse, you've built it all. Now you go out there and get your family. Then you go out there and put your things in order. Then, but that's not how it always works. And that's why I said when you end up in the game, in the middle of the game, it's a little bit different.
It's different
when you get in the middle of the game. So all of these things that we're talking about, it's all relative, because here it is. I did exactly the same thing you did, but with a little bit of a different caveat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did this at, you did it at 50 or 49.50. I did it, but it was at the end of a journey.
Got you.
It was at the end, but it was something that I had been planning for 10, 15 years.
Got you. Okay.
I had been planning for this 15 years or so. And I said, okay, at this point, I'm 58 now, but I've been doing this for 3 years. At 55, I want to be done with working.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to work for somebody else and work for myself.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I made that. Okay, we done at 55.
Mm-hmm.
We basically planned so that we could do what we're doing right now at 55.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did it to a point. We worked the plan, and then once it got to we done. Now starting with something new. It's almost like we life is just beginning for us.
Right.
But the point of the matter is that the laboring was when those 15 years or 20 years or so down the road, and it was more than that because both of us put 30 years or excess of 30 years of working for somebody else. She did it in one area and I did it in multiple areas. But the fact is that we planned this out. We just didn't all of a sudden wake up one morning and say, oh, I think I'm going to do this. Nah, that ain't happened.
Right.
This was years in the making to be able to do it. And the very interesting thing about this is that there's still a growth curve. There's a you got to figure it out. You got to learn.
Without a doubt, there is a growth curve.
Yeah. So it ain't like you're going to stop one thing and it's going to happen everything. No, it's about diligence and putting in the work.
I think that brings up a very good point too, because there are going to be seasons in your life. It may not be a season of entrepreneurship, but there are going to be seasons in your life where you may have to revisit the balance. So there may be things that cause extra strain on the balance that will cause you to revisit your priorities and maybe add or subtract where you would not have had to years prior. So I think that's very that's a very important thing to consider.
Yeah. I mean, here's this thing called life. It's a constant evaluation. You're constantly evaluating what it's going to require to balance as you pursue your potential. You know, as you pursue your potential, it's not going to be the same thing. Look, last year, what it took for me to do this, what I'm doing is I'm growing from year to year, which in turn, it makes it a little bit more understandable and a little bit more tolerable when it comes to balancing, because now I'm using and I have access to more knowledge, to more understanding, to more what it takes to be able to balance it. Right now, I mean, in the beginning, it was like, oh, it's strong. You got to hold it down.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, I can release a little bit. And so this is where, if you talk about, if you can associate what I'm talking about with my health in the 3 years and stuff, you can see how I've gotten better over those 3 years, but then I can begin to associate how mentally I was stressed. I was, and so now I'm beginning to see and put it together to understand, okay, my journey has come as a result of what I've been through, and everything is beginning to make a little bit more sense to me. And my physical health is getting better. Mental health is everything is coming out, but it's not easy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So the point here is that that's what a balanced life can do for you, is that it can reduce you and allows you to be able to see things. And this journey for me, to be honest with you, it's been, up and down, because I had to learn something so that I can find out what I needed to pull back from. And that's what that was, you're just pushing. and then you're just getting worn down. And was when I learned what I needed to pull back from, physical health began to get bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and there's some evaluation that you had to do there, right? Which
absolutely,
I think, and that's awesome, right? Because if we use the same scale analogy, right? It's not just about taking something off or putting something on just at random. You got to know what's on the scale, and you got to prioritize what's on the scale. I got these 5 things over here and these 7 things over here. I need 4 of these. 4 of these are crucial to my success. So I'm not just going to randomly take something off.
Absolutely.
Or randomly add something either, because I don't want to throw off the cohesiveness, if you will, of what's already there, right? So I think that that's important. You had to, in order to know what to do, you had to evaluate what was already being done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And understanding what's important in that process to know, okay, what can I eliminate? And it still doesn't prevent me from pursuing the ultimate goal. Mm-hmm. Because it got to be honest with you, straight up. I mean, it was to the point where I was going to quit. Mm. Hey, I was going to give up. Mm-hmm. Because that seemed like the only solution. But when I realized and got the knowledge that holds up, I don't have to quit. I just need to pull back. And one of the beautiful things about doing it as an entrepreneur is that, hey, ain't on nobody's timetable but my own. Mm-hmm. Yep. Nobody's timetable but my own.
Yep. I love it.
So that's critical in the understanding this balance thing, is being able to evaluate. I guess if we wanted to sum this up today, is being able to evaluate, understanding that it's important to know what to evaluate, but at the same time, know that what it is that we're dealing with as it relates to depression or our relationships is that balance gives us the idea to really, I guess the key word would be evaluate. Then it would be able to evaluate our situation using, again, I like to put in, the tools that we provide for you to understand, hey, these are some steps that we can look at that can begin to shine light on our situation, because ultimately the tools are just to shine light on ourselves.
Yeah. Yep. That, and understanding that it's all interconnected. You know,
yes.
The level of balance that you can achieve in a tangible way, if you will align itself to what's happening in your mind, what's happening in your heart, what's happening in your spirit, what's happening in your body physically. Mm-hmm. And if you are seeing imbalances in those areas, it may be beneficial for you to then now evaluate in a tangible way how you are going about achieving balance in those other areas of your life.
Yeah. I mean, and again, all this is about how do we live a better and a more fulfilling life. Yep. Is to be able to navigate these types of things. This and to be able to do it, we have to consciously be able to do it for ourselves, to recognize that we need help. If it's help we need in doing this, we need to be able to get it, search it out, seek it out. Mm-hmm. If it's mental health, if it's our relationships, as we said, depending on what stage you are, hey, come to the relationship, ask for help. You know, it's never one of the key components of what we talk about is recognizing that I need help. Mm-hmm. and being aware of the fact that, hey, it's available.
Yeah.
It's available for you. Yeah. And one of the things that Clear Journey is using to support and to help those is that we have a webinar that's coming up in November. And there you go. There it is. Clear Journey is presenting Harmony at Home, Strengthening the Family Bond Through Health and Wellness. It's going to be November the 4th at 6 p.m. It's going to be on, we're going to stream it live. We really would like you to go to clearjourney.org and register. You can register online. It is free. It is no cost to you at all. But it's what we're going to do as it relates to better and encouraging you to think about your health and how it impacts your family, those relationships. You have anything you want to add to it, Oliver?
I think it's going to be a good opportunity to really get some practical, just some things that you can do in a very practical way to begin to move the needle in those areas, right? As it relates to family, as it relates to your relationships, as it relates to your mental health, as it relates to your physical health, and understanding what we just said, that those things are interconnected, and there are some things that you can do, some steps that you can take to really show your intention in that area and see results. So it's going to be a good opportunity to have some great dialogue with some good people, and walk away with some good stuff.
Yeah, some good people you're absolutely right. There's going to be a panelist of 3 or 4, and one of which is going to be yours truly. Oliver Marcel is going to be on the panel. He's going to be the one dealing relationship, and that part of the webinar, along with 2 other gentlemen, which is a health and wellness person as it relates. He is a nutritionist and a personal trainer. And we're also going to have a therapist there. So we're going to be there for you. We're going to have a time where we're going to have a presentation by all 3 members, panelists, and then hopefully, if we can, I know we will, we'll be taking questions. So by all means. And a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you all remember, one of our board members was with me on this live at Wednesday, It's Life Live. And she threw out the fact that we might have gifts. We don't know exactly what she had in mind there, but they're going to be gifts. So please register. Let people know about it. We want as many as possible because we want to really share the little tidbits that can make this experience practical for you. So by all means, go to clearjourney.org, register November the 4th. It's at 6 p.m. online. You don't have to go anywhere. Just come join us, be with us. That being said, anything last words you'd like to say, Oliver?
I just just reiterate, listen, we want to really be intentional about how we navigate life, right? We are participants in this thing. If you don't understand what I mean by participant, you need to go listen to the podcast. It's life. But we're participants in this thing, man. And as such, we should be looking to navigate it to the best of our ability.
Yeah. And he just threw it out there. If every 2 weeks the final first season of It's Life is coming to a conclusion, but you can also go to Juan Lee, the author's YouTube channel, or soon you will be able to find all of them on clearjourney.org's YouTube channel, and go back and listen to our first season of It's Life. We release a new one every 2 weeks, and I think we have maybe 2 more left in this series or this season. It should be ending up probably in the September, middle of October. But we're in the process of putting together our second season. And so by all means, subscribe to the channel, if you're on Facebook or any place like that. But we really look forward to your supporting us as we desire to support you in this life journey. Oliver, let people know how they can contact you and get in touch with you.
You can contact me by shooting me an email. My email is on the screen, oliver@denali.org. As stated in the beginning, author, speaker, and coach in the relationship building and men's enrichment spaces, looking to share my journey in hopes that it will be an encouragement to you on your journey. So let's connect. If you are a social media person, at Denali LLC, you see Denali on the screen, add an LLC to it. That is the handle everywhere on social media. You can find us there. Let's have a connection. Let's have a conversation.
All righty. And also, he is one of our strategic partners also that you will be able to come through Clear Journey and find him there. Also, in addition, you can reach me if you desire to. I'm an author of Love Made Simple, The Guide to Inner Peace, Contentment, or Success. You can find that on my website, juanleetheauthor.com, or you can go to Amazon and pick up an Audible copy of it or a digital copy of it, by all means, to support the vision of Clear Journey. And that is to help family and individuals who are struggling, having challenges in life. And we want to be able to provide them with resources and education so that they can live their very best life. So that's where you can reach me at info@clearjourney.org. And, we really look forward and appreciate you supporting us by spending some time with us, and hopefully found something that could help you on your journey in life. That being said, we're going to call it a night. It's, I guess it's time to call it a day now.
Indeed. Listen, this has been a good conversation. As always, these are great conversations. If you've missed any of this one, feel free to go back and watch the replay. If you've missed all of them or any of them, go back and catch those as well on the various YouTube channels or Facebook pages.
Yeah. So, and then as usual, we can't change life, but we can help you navigate it. Until next time, we'll see you then.
All righty. Later.
All right.